little bit under the weather, but that's
no time for that.
no, there isn't. It definitely makes your brain function differently, that's for sure.
Foggy.
I know,
slow.
it's like I'm not moving as quickly as I normally can move. It is what it is, so it's all good. I just powerhouse through it.
I've lost my phone. I'm gonna mute myself right quick.
No worries. No worries.
Hey, bud.
For you guys that are watching, I'm just getting ready for our live stream here, so that we can stream this live. Beverly Ruffner. Now, as you guys are watching, so you are more than welcome to use the questions field or the chat field to ask questions as we're kind of moseying along. So today we are talking with Judith and her leads, particularly in what she's encountering, which I'm sure many of you also encounter, which is what you're saying to those leads initially when they're answering the call. So she's been trying different variations, but one of the things that she's also been finding is it's getting past that first call. How do you keep that conversation going so that you have that opportunity for a second call, or to even have the opportunity to gather enough information off that initial call, so you know how and when to follow up with them. So I know that's a lot of what a lot of people do struggle with, essentially, is those initial points of contact with an individual and what exactly you should be saying to them. Everyone has different experiences. Some of you guys are in more like larger areas where there's a lot of people running lead gen and there's a lot of competition out there, and response of these leads are different. I know Judith works in an area where she doesn't have as much competition out there, so results for everyone is always different depending on your competition, but really it also comes down to your nurturing capabilities and providing that optimal customer service to all of them. So yeah,
isn't it wonderful working with people?
It is. You know what's funny is it was too late. When you see a post on Facebook and you're like, do I comment? But then I'm going to have to keep commenting and I don't really feel like commenting, when you see those. And so I seen one the other day, and it was all about like why people came into real estate in the first place. And there was literally only one person that responded into kind of like a fact or matter of where it was all about helping someone. Everyone else, it was all about the money. And I go, that's a little bit concerning that they're only in it for the money and not the actual, aspect of helping and guiding people. But again, I didn't comment because I didn't want to open up bag worms and then have to keep commenting.
Tag me in that post, baby. Let me in there. That's actually my coaching program. We're actually putting a digital course together of 40 steps. And I like to explain it as new construction, because business is just like new construction. You don't just go and dig a hole. You have to do the site work. You have to really survey the land and get a good idea of where the hole goes. Then you got to dig the hole and lay the foundation. There's nothing sexy or pretty about it. It sucks.
Yeah.
But when we look at our business and why we get into real estate, that is one of my first questions is, why did you get into real estate? And now that you're in real estate, has your perception of the business changed since you've now been going through the process? Because we get in for one reason, but we end up staying for another, because what we expect it to be is not what it really is. Because you got to be crazy to stay in this business.
Yeah.
It's like, yep. You don't get paid for what you do, you get paid for what you close.
Yeah.
You could literally do your entire job expert-like, sit at the settlement table, and the deal doesn't close and you don't get paid for everything that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be crazy to stay in it to not get paid.
It is definitely, yeah, for a lot of people. I find a lot of new people, they have a misconception of what it actually takes to be a realtor. They see all the shows probably on TV, or it looks a lot simpler than it actually is. And then when they jump into it, then they're like, oh, this isn't anything of what I thought it was going to be like. So it's definitely a shocker for some.
Which is a great prelude into the leads in your dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
Because depending upon where our mind is and what our expectation is and the image that we put on what we're doing really makes a huge difference to how we're projecting that outcome and how we're projecting that it's going to look like. We just look at a dashboard with hundreds or thousands of leads and know these people are going to be buying or selling, and why the hell aren't they doing it with me? How do I get them to know me when they won't freaking answer the phone? They hang up on you. They're not communicative at all. And we're sitting here going, I'm paying for this for why? Why am I going through these motions when it's not working? And we have to step back. And I love that question because so much of that plays into our experience. If we genuinely have to have that paycheck, our whole attitude towards doing what we're doing makes a big difference, because we're trying to force that square peg into that round hole when it may not fit, because we will take on anybody to be able to close a deal, even if it's against our own values, because we just need to make that paycheck. If we don't need it, do you ever realize in your life do you ever go to the mall and you have all the money in the world? Well, maybe not all the money in the world, but you have money to spend. It was your birthday, it was Christmas, you have money to spend. You can't find shit in the store.
No, I know.
That money sits in your pocket and you don't buy it. But damn it, when you go to that store and you don't have a damn dime to your name, you find everything you want.
Yes.
Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
It's no different than when we go to our dashboards. When we have a need to create that business, it's not there because we're trying to force it. When we don't need it and we're genuinely just having fun with the conversations and having fun with the people, it takes on a whole different perspective.
Yes.
Because we're not trying to force it. So you just got to call leads like you have like all the money in the world in your pocket. All the business in the world you could possibly imagine. And that also brings up a good point on how we manifest what is going to be in our lives. Because if we go into calling our leads and saying, my leads suck, these people aren't going to buy, everybody hangs up on me, nobody wants to talk to me, I really hate calling, I hate picking up the phone, that's what we're going to get. So we have to really transform our minds to say, these people have a story. Where do I fit into their story? How can I be part of their story? And that's all it is. It's not about getting in the car. It's not about putting a sign in their yard. It's about wanting to be part of someone's story. Whether you have 10 leads or 10,000 leads, it doesn't make a difference. You got 10 stories or 10,000 stories. All we are meant to do is find out where they are in the process and when they're going to be needing our services, which comes into that follow-up. When you meet somebody for the first time and there's an energy connection there, you think about that person in the future, but in real estate with leads, we tend to overcomplicate those first encounters because we're trying so hard to earn their business that we overthink what we're supposed to be doing. Just freaking be you. It's a brand new relationship that we're courting. People want to know that you care. And it's not that difficult to pick up the phone and care. And that's where it all comes down to asking those right questions. Now, does it get frustrating because people aren't answering their phone? Yes. But I'm going to ask you, did you ever send a message, whether it be text, whether it be Facebook Messenger, you were thinking about somebody and they were really heavy on your heart and you just had to reach out and check in and you don't hear from them for days? How does that make you feel? Do you create that message and send it out and forget it because now you did your piece? Or do you sit and dwell in the fact that I initiated conversation, they didn't respond to me? If we go into having communication because we have an expectation on a certain response, we start to tell ourselves a negative story that they got my message and they didn't care. They got my message and I was wrong. They got my message and it wasn't important to them. And when we start telling ourselves that negative story, it's easier to fall in that trap and not continue doing it, because we make those excuses of, well, I do it all the time and nobody responds to me. Well, it's not the fact. It's the fact that you haven't found the person that is in an urgent need of exactly what you need in this moment. We really have to set that intention of, if I'm thinking about you and I send you a message, I don't care if you respond back to me. I would love to hear back from you. However, that's not the big picture here. The big picture is I did what I was supposed to do. And we have to continue to do that. So Judith, I want to hear from you as far as Crystal updated me on kind of your struggles and your frustrations. So I want to hear from you what you want to take away from today. What's most important for you?
I'm trying to use a script, and I feel that it is very
Scripted?
Scripted, and I want to sound natural. I want to be able to connect. I don't want people to hang up on me.
Why? That's so fun.
I tried different approaches, so I'm changing the script just to see what would happen. And what seemed to work is I've been telling people, I'm just calling once just to make sure we're not crowding your emails, just to make sure you're receiving what you're looking for, and I'm here to help. I find though that sometimes the conversation stops after a while. Like, I want to ask all these things, how many bedrooms, how many, all that, but it's not organic. So I feel like, am I trying too hard? Is it going the way I want it? Are they as interested as I think they are, So.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
What is the most important thing for you to find out to help somebody? When you know nothing about them, what's the most important thing for you to be able to find out from them?
Well, what they're looking for, what their timeline is, I guess, how I can help them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's natural.
Mm-hmm.
But we overthink it. We overthink the conversations because we're trying so hard. So do me a favor, act like I'm a lead and use one of your scripts on me. You use the one that is working on you, and I'll be the lead in your dashboard.
Ah, okay. So hi, Beverly. This is Judith calling from Royal LePage in Campbell River. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. I saw that you were looking at homes in Campbell River, and I'm just calling to follow up to make sure we're not crowding your emails, that you're receiving everything that you're looking for, and to see how I can help you.
Where are you calling from?
From Campbell River in BC.
I don't remember. I've been looking a lot online, so I'm not sure I remember exactly what was going on there. What was I looking at?
So from looking at your searches, I see that you were looking at a single family home in the price ranges of about $500,000. Are you actually looking in Campbell River, or are you just browsing, or in the
I'm just
area?
browsing. I've been on a couple of different websites. I was just trying to get an idea of what was on the market.
Oh, okay. Are you thinking of moving to the island?
Possibly, not sure. Just wanted to see what was out there, just to see kind of in price range and.
And what are your thoughts on that?
I was kind of pleased, I guess. It's not something that I have to do. It was just one of those like, I wonder what's going on with the market there. Wonder what the budget would have to be to meet my expectations.
Oh, okay. Are you thinking of retiring, relocating? What's your timeline?
I don't have a timeline. That's why I said I don't have to move. It was just one of those things where I was like, wonder what's out there.
Oh, okay. So you're just browsing. That's great. Are you enjoying receiving the emails that I've been sending you? Okay. Do you want me to tweak it a little bit to see more of what you're looking for? So.
Well, I don't want to put a lot of work into it because like I said, I really have no intentions. If that right house would pop up, I might want to see something, but I have no idea what action I would take, if I would even take an action at that point.
Okay. What would be the right house for you?
I really don't know. And that's where I was looking at price and looking at expectation. I really don't know. I'm just in that process of trying to figure out, is it something that I want to do?
Oh, I see. So how can I help you with that?
I don't know, because I don't even know how to help myself right now, because I don't know what I'm looking for.
I don't know. Help me out here.
I'm doing this for a reason.
Okay, all right. I didn't realize I would be put on the spot, but okay. Yeah, I'm kind of lost right now. Like,
Perfect. That's exactly where I wanted you. Honestly,
okay, all right.
where I wanted you. Because we have to realize these are true stories. People have the internet at their fingertips all the time. And there's so many people that just go, wonder what's going on with the market, wonder what's happening.
Right.
And the most important thing for you to know in that point is that's okay. Because I never said that I wanted to tweak, like, no, that's our safe place to go to, because we think that's what they want. If they're online looking, if I get their search right, they'll keep coming back to my website.
Right.
But none of that matters. What matters is you and your uniqueness of caring about their situation.
Mm-hmm.
So had you come back to me and said, oh, I totally get that, there's so many homes out there, let me ask you a question. What is your current situation right now? So you asked me if I was going to be relocating, or so you're painting a picture of what you think the buyer or that lead might be. You're trying to find that common denominator.
Right.
And when we try to throw out a common denominator by assumption, it can throw the conversation. Okay. Because you may trigger something within them that's a negative.
Right.
So we always want to just ask that question. You never once asked what my current situation was.
Right.
Because that's really the most important piece. Am I renting or do I own?
Right. Right.
Because that starts to tell the story. So asking those trigger questions that are going to help fill in the blanks of the story is what is so important right there. So had you asked me, great, it's awesome that you're looking, but what is your current situation right now? Do you own or do you rent?
Right.
I own a home. Oh, how long have you been in your home? So let me ask you, if you're just looking, hypothetically, because they've already told us that they don't know if they're moving.
Right.
But they look, so there's curiosity there. So we have to unveil that curiosity and say, just hypothetically, if you were to ever make a move. So we're basically taking it away from them. We're saying, we know you're not going to move.
Right. Right.
And what happens when someone takes something away from us and tells us we can't do something? We automatically want it.
Right.
And the conversation changes. So hypothetically, if you were going to make a move in the future, what would that look like? And let them start telling the story. And if they say, I don't know, well, tell me about your home now. What is it that you love about it? What is it that you dislike about it? When they tell us what they love, we're thinking about where they were looking and is there a match? When they tell us what they did, when we ask them what they dislike the most about their home, we're starting to get to the pain. We're starting to get to the reason why they might make a move in the future. Mm-hmm. We're getting them to tell a story that they haven't even realized yet. Mm-hmm. When we start to unveil that and bring that out of people, we create a connection that they don't even know what the hell happened. I have people say to me all the time, I cannot believe I'm telling you this much stuff. I don't talk to people.
Oh, okay.
It's only because of the questions. They can't help but to answer it because everybody loves talking about themselves. And if they don't, they're lying. Everybody loves talking about themselves. When we ask those questions and get them, who doesn't like to talk about their house? Because every seller has the best house on the block. So who doesn't like to talk about their home? Mm-hmm. So when we ask them, tell me about your house and what you love about it and what you don't like about it. So if you were to make that move, so now we're starting to get a little bit more meat to the story. Mm-hmm. So taking the scripts away from the conversation and asking the questions with that listening, that active listening, it leads us to more questions because we're genuinely inquisitive about what they're saying. Mm-hmm. So if we take our role play back and you're listening actively to what I'm saying, like we're having a conversation like we're having right now, you don't have to think about what to say because you're coming from a place of curiosity. And you can genuinely ask that question. Well, if you have no intention of moving, why were you looking? And because I look at it this way, if you're going to potentially hang up on me or you're genuinely not moving, I don't care if I offend you by asking you questions. Right. Because I'm not going to close you anyway.
The whole time I was talking to her, I'm like, she's going to hang up. She's going to hang up. We have nothing to say. She's going to hang up.
That's the story we tell ourselves.
Right.
And, you know, I just came from, I'm in Toastmasters and I did a speech today and it was totally on fear. And I'm right. I speak, I love speaking, but I still have that fear or that anxiety or that doubt in my mind when I'm putting a speech together. And I'm remembering a story of when I was forced, I'm scared to death of heights. I was forced to climb a rock wall because we were in a team challenge and nobody on my team could do it but me. And I still didn't want to do it. And, you know, what I recognized while I was writing this speech was fear is fear. The unknown is the unknown. No matter how big the challenge or how much the unknown, you would think a fear of heights is a way bigger fear than the fear of having a conversation with somebody. It just sounds more dramatic because I'm afraid of heights. But fear is fear, doesn't matter. We can't touch fear. We can't feel fear. It's only the story we say in our heads. All we have to do is change our story. Not that easy. But awareness is the biggest piece of changing our story. Because if we're constantly saying they're going to hang up on me, they're going to hang up on me, you're not actively listening. Right. Because you're too worried about them hanging up on you. Right. Because you're thinking they're going to hang up on me. They're going to hang up on me. What did you just say? Yes. And then you get lost in the sauce. You're like, can you say that again? So when you're looking at the questions of the most important pieces to find out, is first of all, they don't care who you are. Your opening was really good. Your opening was really good. It was smooth. It was, you have a great phone voice. You have a great tone. But people are just going to naturally hang up on you anyway, but it just happens. And the only reason being, we do the same thing. We see a number on our phone that we don't recognize. Our defenses are up as soon as we see that number. Right. We're like, telemarketer. So we're already at a negative because they're answering the phone knowing they're going to have a conversation that they probably don't want to have. We only have seconds to make that impact for them to determine if they want to carry on the conversation. I like to go right to, hey, Judith, I saw that you were online looking at homes and da-da-da. You know, yeah, I'm like, hey, Judith, this is Beverly. I saw that you were online. That's all we need to go into. And that's why whenever I came back to you and I said, where are you from? Okay. Because what happens, you're not actively listening because you're wondering what they're going to say next. Right. They're also not actively listening because all they're hearing right now is what is the first thing you're going to say so I can hang up the phone. They didn't hear a damn word you said when you said where you're from and who you are. Right. But when you go right to the question of, hey, I saw that you were on, okay, my name's Beverly, which they're not even going to remember your name in 2 seconds. I saw that you were online looking at homes. They know they were online looking at homes. So it pulls that awareness out of them to say, yep, I was. Okay. And the most important things for us to know in that moment is, so what is your current situation? What made you look at homes online? And you did ask that. Like, what brought you here? I don't remember exactly what your wording was, but right. what exactly were you looking for? 9 chances out of 10, what are they going to say? We hear, I'm just looking.
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
just looking.
Yeah.
Digging deeper. Awesome. Well, what's your current situation? Let's take them away from what they were looking for because it doesn't matter. What they were looking for in this moment doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, so yeah, Jody just, I'm good. I'm good. Retail stores, I think I can help you with it. I'm good. I'm just looking. Leave me alone. So what they're looking for does not matter. All that is idle conversation because we're comfortable going there. We're comfortable talking about our market. We're comfortable talking about houses. We're comfortable talking about how many bedrooms. But none of that matters if they're not going to buy.
Right.
So let's skip to the punch. Let's save a little bit of time in the conversation and find out what is your current situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is going to start to tell the story. Now, if you say, do you own or do you rent? I own. Oh, how long have you been in your home?
Mm-hmm.
6 months. Then you got the red flag. You're like, 6 months, WTF, like, why are you looking?
Mm-hmm.
So you've only been, so tell me, you've only been in your home for 6 months. What brings you online looking?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there was a home that just went on the market in my neighborhood that I moved into, and I was wondering what it looked like. Now we're getting to the meat.
Mm-hmm.
Had we asked in the beginning what they're looking for, a lot of people don't want to reveal that because they feel like they're like lurking,
Mm-hmm.
and they're embarrassed to share. So by asking what their current situation is, it's a little bit more difficult for them to fib their way out of a yes or a no or hanging up.
Right.
So what's your current situation? And then if they rent, well, I always want to know, if they say own, I always want to know how long they've been in their home. Because that itself tells a story. Because if the average homeowner is in that 5 to 7 year plan,
Mm-hmm.
if they say 2 years, there's probably something forcing them previous to when they actually thought they would be making a move.
Mm-hmm.
If they say 5 to 7 years, they were just probably on the 5 year plan and they're either downsizing or moving up.
Mm-hmm.
If they say like 15 years, they're probably empty nesters. So it tells its own story, but we can't assume. All we can do is go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And after they say they've been in their home for so long, so are you, you asked this exact question, are you thinking about making a move?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say making a move, I don't say, are you thinking about buying? That's our automatic assumption because they're in looking at homes to purchase. So I always like to say, are you thinking about making a move? Because they may be sellers disguised as buyers.
Mm-hmm.
They may be selling their mother's home because mom's moving into assisted living. They may be selling their home because they're relocating out of the country or relocating out of the province or whatever. So we can never assume what brought them online. And depending upon the market that you're in, I was in a very small market outside of a large metro area, and I had a lot of double enders. All of my leads were disguised sellers,
Mm-hmm.
looking like buyers.
Mm-hmm.
So I could never make that assumption. And what do sellers do before they decide to put their home on the market? They want to know there's something to go to.
Right.
Or they want to know that there's value in their home, so they're doing their own research before they actually contact an agent. So finding out the time frame that they've been in their home and trying to unveil that story. And then the other piece is renting. And if they say they're renting, how are you in a lease term or are you month to month?
Mm-hmm.
Because that tells the story on timing. And in both instances, I want to know, how much are you paying a month in your mortgage or how much are you paying a month in your rent? If they're paying $2,000 a month in their rent, but they're looking at $1 million home, there's a red flag,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's a major financial shock. So then that leads to that question of, have you talked to anybody about what a payment would look like on the homes that you've been viewing online?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say no. What are your intentions as far as your finances? Would it be what would you be financing it, or would it be cash?
Mm-hmm.
So as we're telling the story, we're getting them to share the story, and we're not asking them really yes, no questions. We're asking them to contribute to the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And one question will just lead to another, because for you to be able to help them, you have to keep asking those questions until you get to the source of, well, let me ask you. You're not thinking about a move. You're just online, feeling out the market. What could I be doing for you? And you asked me that.
Mm-hmm.
And my answer to you was, I don't know. I don't even know how to help myself right now because I don't really know what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then go back with, how would you like me to follow up with you?
Mm-hmm.
Ask them. When we are engaged in truly helping people and letting them make the choice of how we follow up, number one, it takes the guesswork out of it for us.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, it makes them feel confident that you care enough to ask.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what conversation we have, no matter where they are in the process, asking them how they would like us to follow up and what is their favorite form of communication. If I check in with you, how would you like me to check in with you? Would you like me to shoot you a text, an email, or just a phone call?
Mm-hmm.
So that way you're
They
showing.
say, what if they say that, well, I'm not interested, like maybe in a year, call me in a year or something like that.
And that might very well be the case. So let me ask you, Judith, so you're saying you're not interested, it might be a year. That's all coming down to the current situation. If the absolute perfect house came on the market in 6 months, would it be something that would interest you? Nope. I cannot move for at least a year. Then you know.
Okay.
And if they say, yeah, maybe, then it's okay. So let's talk about your situation. We all know for someone to make the decision to make a move, it has to meet their expectations and remove the inconvenience. In order to move, we're trying to make our lives easier, right? So digging in and finding out, when someone tells me I'm not moving for at least a year, well, tell me exactly why. Is there anything over the next year that could potentially happen that would change that timeline? Nope, I have to wait until my kids are out of school.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm not quite sure. Well, let me ask you this then. If you're not quite sure, I totally respect that and understand that. I don't care when you buy. I don't care if you never buy. The only thing that I care about right now is making sure that you're getting information when you want it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when to follow up with you. I don't know how to follow up with you. I don't want to bother you. But I want to make sure that you do understand and know that I want to be a resource for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you're about a year out. Is it okay if I just check in with you in a couple of months just to see if anything's changed? Now, Judith, I know life happens. You may not remember me in a couple of months. And when I call, you're probably not going to answer the phone. I'll leave a voicemail. It's okay if you don't call me back. I just want you to know that I'm here and that I'm checking in on you to let you know and remind you I'm a resource.
Mm-hmm.
So after I leave that voicemail, I'll probably just check in with you just, maybe a month later, just to let you know I'm still here. When we follow up and follow through and we show people that we do what we say we're going to do, we have to think bigger than that one voicemail or that one conversation. We don't know who that person knows that may be making a move right now. And when we stand apart from our competition, that is what makes the difference. And the unfortunate thing from when I started training agents and inside salespeople back in 2012, it's a completely different training today than it was in 2012. 2012, we were very fact of the matter with our questions because there were more people that were making moves within our dashboards that were open to conversations than they are today. Technology has destroyed our ability to have the value with people because it's all come down to convenience. I just heard a statistic from NAR that said the average person knows of 12 real estate agents. That makes me sit and think, why the hell am I in real estate? I don't have a shot in hell, right?
Yes.
But when we stand ourselves apart and we show that we care, that's what they're going to remember. And while we're having conversations in our database, why it's so important to have that organization of, if you're not a high quality lead, I really don't want to set a reminder, because I'm not going to be taking my reminders as serious as what I should be. So we have to be very careful. I know as salespeople, it's so easy to overcommit when we're in the moment. It's so easy to say what we want to say to get that rush of the high of going, yes, I nailed that one. But then I'm never going to follow up with them because I'm on to all the other leads that are coming into my dashboard.
Right.
So we have to be very careful to not overcommit. All these conversations, it's very easy for me to sit here and say, I'll follow up with you in 2 months. I'll just leave that voicemail. And then if I don't, in another month, I'll follow up with you, because we all are at a different place of our business. We all have the exact same amount of time in the day, but we all allocate our time in our day very differently depending upon how busy we are. So I always look at it from the perspective of, if I'm not at the settlement table, I need to be in front of a client. If I'm not in front of a client, I need to be prospecting and talking to potential new clients. So the reality is, we have to, in 2020, build a pipeline. That is the only way we're going to survive. And the only way to build that pipeline is to be having these conversations. And you've probably heard speed to lead. Yeah. That saying has been, it's kind of like boss babe. I'm so tired of the boss, the boss lady, the boss babe. I'm like, it's such an overrated, overused word today.
Right.
And I feel speed to lead has been used and overrated as well, because when we don't win on speed to lead, everyone forgot about the consistency. Because speed to lead, you got to get to them in the first 2 minutes, the first minute, the first 30 seconds, whatever it may be. But we always forget the consistency is what wins. Because if everybody is practicing speed to lead and nobody's practicing consistency, well, guess what? The one person that is consistently attempting to get a hold of these people are going to win when the speed to lead doesn't work. So practicing that consistency of 3 forms of communication: phone, text, email. And just asking those really super simple questions. Texting is probably the best way to get people to communicate today. However, we're not 100% confident in how to have that conversation with somebody that we don't know, because there's no personality to it at all. It just feels so cold. You just want to pick up and talk to them. It'd be so much easier to have a conversation than it would be to text. So we tend to over text. We tend to put too much meat into the text message. When we're dating, it's our very first interaction, trying to get to that first date. So asking those questions that matter is in a text. And I love old leads in a dashboard, because you can mass text to them all and we can just kind of shuffle out what's in the dashboard. If we know and we have been putting our leads of the people that we've never talked to, and they have become inactive in our dashboard, that's usually the biggest majority of where all of our leads sit, that we've never talked to them and they've gone AWOL in our website. They've never looked at emails. They've never opted into emails, and they're not searching properties. However, our job is finding out what their story is. So the quick text is, you were looking at homes in whatever area you market, just wondering if you're still looking, just wondering if you're still in the market. So texting, it's okay to ask yes, no, because if we ask really detailed questions, people aren't going to respond. And we have to remember that when we see text messages, our cell phones now so gloriously pop up on our main screen that we only have to open our phone to read the message. So we see it light up, we look at it right quick, and then we conceptualize it. We respond to it in our head. But by the time we actually get back to our phone and open the conversation, it's already in the past. and we tend to not respond in the present.
Mm-hmm.
And our leads are the same way. And the reality is, the more difficult the question to answer, the more reluctant we are to put the response.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a yes, no, it's a quick yep, it's a quick no. So we can ask, I was just going to say ask. We can ask the yes, no questions via text because we're trying to just shuffle through the priority.
Mm-hmm.
Finding out if they say yes, they just rank up a little bit more in the priority.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we asked, hey, you were looking at homes and such, just wondering if you're still in the market, and they come back and say yes, great. Are you thinking about a move this year or next year or in the future? Are you thinking about a move this year or in the future? Now, in November, are you thinking about a move within the year? Make sure that your responses are making sense.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say this year, or they'll say next year, or they'll say, I don't know. Okay, what does that look like? And they may ghost on you, but now you at least have an idea of a priority of a lead because they responded to text and you know what their communication is.
Mm-hmm.
And we can always ask them, are there any particular homes that would interest you if I were to send you homes? So it's always asking for permission. It's always asking them what they want. If I were to send you something, what would you like to receive? Because if we start asking them how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, we start asking questions that we really don't care to know, because then they're going to start telling you this big long story about how their dog died in their bedroom and they have to have a different bedroom, and how grandma, you just hear the whole kit and caboodle and you're like, why did I ask this question?
Yes.
So the following up is all in leaving it on the actual lead itself, and how you qualify it as looking at the big picture of your business, of building that pipeline. I was really great at converting the right now. My buyer agent was really great at nurturing and building that pipeline and closing them through time. So we made a great team together. She's still closing leads from 5 years ago. She blows my mind. I'm like, how do you do this? I don't have the patience for that. I know what to do. I just choose not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can convert enough on the front end that I didn't. That's why you have a team. You pull your different strengths in together. But her most important thing in that follow-up is she's not necessarily attached to how they respond back to her. She's attached to doing what she says she's going to do. Mm-hmm. And when we had a dynamic market shift, my speed to lead and my immediacy was not working so well. Mm-hmm. She built her damn pipeline over the years to people that were right now. I couldn't find the right now in the right now. She created the right now today for the future. Mm-hmm. That was a powerful statement right there. It almost hurts your head if you think about it too much. But it's so true. It's like, we want business right now, but what were you doing 6 months ago? Mm-hmm. Because what you're doing today is where you're going to be in the future in real estate. And it's how do you want to build that pipeline, and can you see it happening? Mm-hmm. And that's where those vision boards are so vitally important. Having a board, when you have a conversation with Susie, and it was a great conversation, you really liked her energy, put Susie up on the board. Put the price range next to Susie on what Susie was looking at. She may be a year out. She may be 2 years out. But you won't forget Susie if she's up on your board. Mm-hmm. And when you start looking at the sales price that Susie's looking within, you start creating that positive energy to know that you're creating a pipeline, and it keeps you wanting to create a new pipeline. So that you're building, it's the compound. Have you ever read Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect?
No.
Great book. It does really talk about, we can do things incrementally, just like gaining weight or losing weight. Seems like we can gain it a whole lot quicker than we can lose it. But we don't just wake up one day 10 pounds heavier. It was the compound effect, day after day after day, to where you finally got to the point where you've recognized it, because now you're uncomfortable. And losing weight is the exact same way. it's that compound effect. Well, when you're 18 years old, you may skip a meal and you feel great the next day. But when you start getting a little bit older, it don't work that way no more. The mayor of metabolism. But, you know, working with our leads, it's that compound effect of creating those relationships through time. And let's just think outside the box even more. Tell me about your community. Are you in a small community? Do you have local businesses? Tell me about your community, Judith.
Yes, so we're in BC on Vancouver Island. We're 3 hours north of Victoria. It's a small town, about 35,000 people. We have ocean, we have mountains, lots of gyms. It's a vibrant community.
So are you in a second home community?
It seems like it's going that way. We get a lot of retirees from the mainland or Victoria or South Island. But I see an influx of younger people coming up here. More jobs are created. There's a lot of movement in town. Yeah.
So the most important thing for you to find out is what's attracting you to this location.
Right.
And when we know what's attracting them to that location, give me a few things that are attracting people there. Is it the ocean? Is it lifestyle? And what is the lifestyle that would attract somebody?
So yes, it's both. It's you can ski and walk by the ocean on the same day. We have mountains, beautiful views from about 40% of the homes here. It's a laid-back community. People are pretty active, very friendly.
So let's throw the housing out the window just for a minute.
Okay.
How long have you been there?
3 years. So I'm very new here.
What took you there?
I came for a visit and fell in love, and it was the beauty, things to do, everything I just said, you know, just the lifestyle. I came from Toronto, big city, just the hustle and bustle, the stress, it was getting too much, and I wanted to slow down and have a different standard of living, just take it a bit easier. Hence, I got into real estate.
Is it safe to say you would love working with people that would be moving there for the same reason?
Absolutely, yes. And I specialize in relocation.
Okay.
Oh, that's where it's going.
You have hundreds of leads in your dashboard, and you
Yes.
are in a very unique market. Throw the houses out the window. Don't even worry about the houses. Give them the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I love, when I go on vacation somewhere, I want to move everywhere I go on vacation.
Yes.
And if someone sends me something about the area, an event that's going on in the area, hey, not sure if you're into jazz, but they're having a jazz fest on the beach at this time. Not sure if you're into skiing, but they're having a ski event. Become the local newscaster for what you love in your market and work that with your leads.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, get creative.
I post that anyway. I post it on Facebook or social media.
So when you're communicating with the leads in your dashboard, that takes it to a whole new level, because people love to talk about what they love. Mm-hmm. So you could send out text messages, send out emails and say, I know you were looking at homes and da-da-da.
Mm-hmm.
What do you love most about this location? Is it, and I would give them a multiple choice. Is it this, or this?
Mm-hmm.
And start organizing your dashboard based on their likes. So if you have people that say beach and you have people that say skiing, you've put them into a category. So when an event comes up, you can blast out to that category of your leads to just let them know what's going on in your community.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a great idea.
Just becoming the community expert. And that's what we have to do moving into 2020. We have to be a little bit different with our marketing. And what is your value proposition? Your value proposition is tell your story
mm-hmm.
of why you moved there.
Right.
I've been here for 3 years and this is why.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to start, so many times we don't want to niche a market because we feel like we're going to not create business in this avenue. Like, well, we want to do business with anybody that wants to buy or sell a house, but do we really?
Mm-hmm.
It's much more fun and rewarding to be working with people that are like us.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're doing what we naturally love to do, we're going to be attracting likeness, which is much easier to create value with people because there's that common denominator without even having to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to tell a story real quick. My team name was Wine Trail Homes. And we were in a pocket in Virginia that was really becoming the next Napa. And when we created the logo, I didn't realize the impact that it would have on the image. I've always been one to go claim a house. I would see a home come on the market and I'd be like, oh my God, I love that house. Who would the buyer be? Where would that buyer be coming from? I have to find the buyer. And I would start getting really creative with my marketing to try and find that buyer that would be coming, that would want to buy this house. One home in particular that I fell in love with, it was an old Civil War home, humongous. It had all these like hidden little doors and pockets, and it was just a very mysterious home. I fell in love with it, very plantation style. I owned it. I'm like, all right, I am finding a buyer for this house. I ended up showing it 2 times. The second buyer, they found the home in my website and I called him. Chris is his name. I said, hey, Chris, I saw that you were looking at 123 Main Street. He's like, yeah. And I go, well, what's your story? What's your situation? He's like, we live here, which was closer to Northern Virginia. And their daughter just started school down in Charlottesville, which was south. And they were wanting to find a place in the medium. Mm-hmm. He said, this place worked perfectly because there's a winery up the road that we are in love with. If we could live near the winery and get closer to our daughter's college, it would be a win-win. Mm-hmm. Ended up writing a contract on that house only because my team name was Wine Trail Homes. Worked with people that I loved.
Right.
He ended up getting a job as a wine taster at the winery. Yeah, Chris and Peggy, love them to pieces. But it was so fun working with people that have a common denominator. Mm-hmm. The only way they know that they have anything in common with you is if you tell your story. Mm-hmm. And you get it out there, and don't worry about offending somebody if they don't want to know about your area, because you probably don't want to work with them anyway.
Right.
So think about the businesses. Small businesses are such a powerful thing in a community like that. I was in a population of 48,000. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful place to be because it's a very small niche.
Yes.
And it doesn't take much to dominate a market when it's a small area because you can know so much about it.
Right. And
when you're promoting other businesses, it's a win-win. Mm-hmm. So if you go into a small business and say, hey, do you have like a product of the month, or you have anything that I could utilize on my website to attract more business for you? Mm-hmm. Take their product of the month, send it out to your dashboard and say, hey, this business, this is the owner. This is their product of the month. If you're in the area, they would love for you to stop by. Mm-hmm. That's doing a twofold thing. You're asking the small business owners how you can help them and who their perfect audience is and how you can help their business. Mm-hmm. The average person knows 12 real estate agents, but out of those 12 real estate agents, how many of them ask them how they could help them grow their business and mm-hmm. promote them? If there was one thing I could promote for you, what would you want me to promote? Well, I have a dashboard with hundreds of leads, thousands of leads, whatever it may be, and I have this many leads coming in. I would love to be able to promote. What is it that you would like me to promote? Mm-hmm. It takes on a whole new ballgame, because then not only you know in your community, you're attracting people that are liking things that you like, because you're not going to go and promote something. You're not going to go to the vape shop and promote a vape if you don't vape, right?
Right.
But you may go to the cupcake shop and promote the cupcakes because you love cupcakes.
Or
and tell your experience. Like,
mm-hmm.
what's that?
I was just saying, there's a lot of unique coffee shops here, so.
Yeah, so try something that you love, and there's no calories in it if we're testing it, by the way. If you eat it and you promote it, there's no calories in it because it's all for a very good reason.
I love that. All right.
And you can write it off.
But this is definitely giving me lots of good ideas that I can do and use my.
And how comfortable are you on video? How comfortable are you to do a quick video text?
I just started doing them about a couple of months ago, and I'm getting better.
Good.
I'm pretty good one-on-one, but when I'm in front of a camera, I get really nervous, as probably you can see it.
And that's okay. That's okay. It's totally
But
natural.
I got to a point where if I make a mistake, I just laugh it off, and it gives it a little, I don't know. It's me. People know me, so once they get to know me, they know what I'm like. So yes, I feel comfortable sending them quick videos. I'm working on that.
So when you're in the coffee shop, and these are the videos that I love. When they're kind of quiet, like, oh my gosh, I'm here in the coffee shop, and I had to try this apple strudel. Oh my God, it's amazing. I just had to let you know. It's fun, and you're enjoying it, and you're there anyway. Use it to market yourself.
Right.
And don't overthink it.
Yes.
Easier said than done, right? We're like, oh, it's a great idea. I'm going to do this. And then you go and you're like, all right, I feel like a dork. And then you may record it. And you're like, now I really feel like a dork because I'm actually going to send this. Nobody's going to watch this. Why am I doing this?
You don't think about it. You just do it. You just like all of a sudden just like, blink, because we all do it. We will all overthink it when we're doing it. And then I like, if I do anything like that, I'll do it. And then I make such a big deal about it. Then I don't even look at it. I just blast it out. I'm like, I don't even care what happens, what my stumbles are or what have you. I'm just like, I just be over with. Right. Record and send. Can't take it back then. It's said and done. And you only get better. And if you just practice by yourself, or you're just making videos for yourself, rather than if you're not doing it live or what have you, the more you practice, the better you actually get at it, the more comfortable you get doing it. It just comes a little bit easier each time.
Yeah, well, record yourself and watch yourself. That's what I do. When I joined Toastmasters, I seriously suggest everybody join Toastmasters. It has been one of the biggest challenges for me in the reality of writing a speech, because it really has made me think so much outside the box to get creative on how to tell the story, that it really has helped me. Even everybody's like, oh my God, you're such a natural. Why are you at Toastmasters? You don't know how much I practice. I asked, there was 3 speakers today, myself and 2 others, and I asked them how much they practiced it. And the one guy's like, I practiced it in the car on the way here. And they're like, your speech was so good. I'm like, so I started writing it on Sunday. I started practicing on Monday, and I rewrote it last night. And I practiced it. I probably have 20 takes on my video. And the speeches have to be like 6-ish minutes. So you have to constantly speak it, look at your time, tweak your information. There's so much that you have to do. So you have to keep watching yourself. And then you're picking up your own ums, likes, so's.
Right.
When we can watch ourselves, and that's the only way I got good at calling leads, is because I recorded myself and had to listen to myself. I'm like, why did I ask that question? That was dumb.
Yes.
Yeah, because
I almost wish there was a script where, if they say this, arrow, I'm doing that. If they say that, I can say that, because.
But then we're not actively listening, because no conversation is ever going to fit in a perfect box. Right.
I
So
almost feel like I'm not prepared, because I wish I had the answers, or I wish I could just go like, if I
you don't need the answers.
studied it enough,
You don't need the answers. You got to ask the questions.
Well,
the answers reveal themselves when you ask the questions. Have you gone? Were you on 2 weeks ago? Whenever I sent everybody to fix your CRM.
Yeah. No. Wait. Okay.
I think I was. Yeah.
Did you go to fixyourcrm.com?
Yes.
Did you get my PowerPoint and my questions?
Oh, maybe not then. Okay.
So fixyourcrm.com. You can, when you fill out the information, you're going to get my PowerPoint on how to organize a database. And you also get my power questions that initiate conversation of everything that we went over today. So it's not so much if this, then this, it's always these questions have to be answered while I'm on the phone with these people. Because this is the most important information that I need to qualify them as to how, why, and when I want to follow up with them. And for you, I would take it even a step further and ask those questions of what attracts you to this market? Because reality is when you're in a second home market or you're in a retirement location, chances are they might be looking at other retirement locations as well.
Right.
So we have to take that question a little bit further of, what is the lifestyle you picture living when you retire? What does that look like for you? What do you want to do with your day when you're retired? Get them dreaming, get them thinking. And I always ask, okay, if you're standing at the kitchen sink and you're looking out your window, what do you see? Do you go on vacation every year, Judith?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know where
Absolutely,
you're going?
yes.
Do you know where you're going in 2020?
Yes. Italy.
And when did you decide? Tell me about that process. I know we only got a minute or so left. Tell me about that process when you started thinking about Italy.
Probably about 2 years ago.
Oh, you're one of those flyers. You're 2 years.
Actually, last year we went to Paris and London, and every time I'm on vacation, I'm already thinking about what we're gonna do next, and really enjoyed the experience. I haven't been to Europe that much, so that's when I really seriously started thinking about Italy.
And
So
as
I
you're
want to experience
it,
the same thing.
yes,
Right.
as you're thinking about it, you're overhearing conversations of other people that have been there, and you start talking to them and you get a little bit more of a taste.
Right.
You start seeing things on TV. You start seeing certain ads and you get a little bit more of a taste.
Right.
And while you're going through this process of being excited about the destination, you still haven't confirmed the actual trip.
Right.
So you start looking at the trip, but the more you're thinking about where you're going, the more exciting it gets. And then when you schedule the trip, it gets a lot more exciting.
Right.
The same exact experience happens when people are thinking about moving to a location. Mm-hmm. When we get them talking about the reason they would move into this location, they start getting a little bit more excited about it. And then they start hearing it on TV. They start hearing people talking about it, and it starts that snowball effect. So we're actually exposing them to tell their dreams and tell their story that they hadn't even intended on doing. And now you've planted that seed. Mm-hmm. And they'll remember you because you've now created an emotional response from them that when they think about that area, they're going to think about that conversation. Right. Just like we are with vacation.
Right. Yeah.
So it's very emotional when we're talking. Yeah. So just think about, your trip to Italy whenever you're calling these leads and how long it took you to actually commit to making the trip. And then it's like, we're not really excited about, we're excited about going, but we're more excited about learning where we're going to go and when we're going to go. But when we actually book the trip, then it can't get here fast enough.
Right.
Yeah. Moving is the exact same way.
Right.
So I see Laura's like such a worthwhile conversation today. So I'm hoping that every single one of you that were on here are able to take what we were talking about today into your markets and really take action on that. And mm-hmm. Jason in the very beginning asked, how do you feel about what you saw? Is that an appropriate question? Absolutely. Because we want to know, what did they see? Because it all comes down to expectations. Right. If they're looking at a $500,000 price range and in their mind, they're shit boxes, well, if they don't like what they saw, and chances are they're probably not going to want to move forward. So it's digging in to see what their expectations are. So, right. and I think you did ask me that question. What would you like? What you're seeing? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I was just looking. Right. So it's just digging a little bit further. Mm-hmm. I know we didn't jump in your dashboard, but I really hope this was helpful for how you're going to work your dashboard now with a little bit of a different intention.
Yes, absolutely. I took a lot with me from this session. I'm going to be staying away from the scripts and just try to be more organic and just listen.
Yep. So
But
fix your CRM.
ask the important questions, right? Make sure I ask those important questions.
And practice it with the people that are right in front of you. Practice it with your family. Practice it with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
And just be thinking about questions and what do I need to know about anything to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of thinking about responding, think about asking questions and be inquisitive.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And I just can't wait to get on the phone.
I love it. I love it.
Awesome. We do have a couple questions sitting here, Beverly. Just so, because they've been sitting here for a little bit, they should be quick to answer though. So if someone hangs up on you, do you encourage, so they're not telling you they're hanging up, which I don't think many people do say they're going to tell you hang up, but if the call hangs up, do you call them back assuming that the call dropped or just leave it?
Depends on how many times they've hung up on me. I never let it go. I always leave them in that attempting contact or tried to contact stage because usually it's just bad timing. I do continue to attempt. And if they do answer the phone after multiple hangups, I'm like, wait, don't hang up on me. And it's amazing how you can engage them. And I did seriously have that happen one time with a lady. I think it was 6 calls in, she had hung up on me. And I finally, I'm like, hey, don't hang up on me. And she's like, I'm sorry, I have really bad reception. Can you call me on my home number? And she gave me her home number. Serious story. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it is a connection, but we're so quick to assume the worst that we think they hung up on us. I follow up with a quick text too. So I'll try calling right back and I'll follow up with a quick text. Hey, it's Beverly. I just am asking about your home search. You were looking at homes and da-da-da. They may respond. They may not respond. It's okay. And the responses that I get back, I'm sorry, I'm at work. I can't talk. Mm-hmm. When's a good time for me to call you back? After 7 tonight? Great. It blows my mind how many people are FOMO. They're like, I got to answer the phone. What if it's somebody important? What if it's somebody I got to talk to? Even when I can't take a phone call. And that's why they hang up real quick because they're not in a position to have that conversation. So never, ever assume. Mm-hmm. So keep calling and text.
Just keep calling. And then another question with regard to like a negative connotation, like I know you're not going to call me back, but I'm going to keep calling you. Is it, excuse me, is that a good idea to kind of say like, hey, I know you're probably not going to answer my call, but I will call you, almost like setting that expectation, like you don't have to answer my call.
One of my favorite, because you're setting the expectation, and I do. So if I call and they hang up on me and it's repeated, that's your opportunity to say, all I'm doing is my job. I just want to know if you have any future plans of a purchase. I will give you the opportunity to text me or call me back right now, and I will not answer my phone. I promise you I will not answer my phone. But if you don't call me back, I will continue to call you. Because it's 23 seconds of my time. I mean, that's seriously it. It's 23 seconds of my time whenever you fall through my filter. And that's how I look at it. So I am going to continue to call you until you're in my dashboard for so long and then you're not a priority. I don't care.
Yeah. Perfect.
Can't get works all the time, but yeah.
I love it probably does.
Call people on their shit.
So we already kind of went over the beginning conversation, what to say. And this person says she's having success with communicating with people over text initially and then leading up to phone calls after a few text messages. Do you think I should call after the first few texts?
I like to ask for permission because sometimes people aren't ready. I like to return communication the way they're communicating because that's usually what's best for them. It may not be best for us, but that's what's best for them. So I like to ask for that permission. When would be is there a time that we could schedule to have a conversation about this? But it really all depends upon how escalated the conversation's going in text. If you're getting the answers that you need and it's going where you need it to, one of my agents that I was training years and years ago, he had a full-time job while he was building his database and all he did was texting. He was literally meeting people at properties via text. He never talked to these people. And I was just in like shock. I'm like, I'm just in awe that people would actually do that. But you got to do what works for you. But if you try to go to that conversation sometimes too fast, you scare them off on the other end. So just really feel what the energy is like on that phone in the text messaging to see if it's a place that they would want to go.
Yeah, some I've seen people scare people with text. Once you start digging for too much personal information through a text message and you haven't spoken to them yet,
Yep.
they'll just stop responding to you because they like, for all you know, they know you're some person in Nigeria trying to scam them. You're asking, questions that they'd feel more comfortable actually hearing a voice and having a conversation. So yeah, probably at your own discretion with those text messages. Exactly. Or how you would respond. Like, would you tell somebody that information over a text message? So everyone's one to their own, but that is about it.
Easy. All right. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. Thanks for everyone for joining. It will be available. Full recording will be on our YouTube channel. So just search YouTube Agent Locator and it'll be up there by end of day tomorrow.
And thank you so much. It was a pleasure, truly.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really got a lot out of it. Thank you.
Go get them.
All right. Enjoy your day, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.